This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Welcome on in. We are making history tonight, the debut episode of the Tyson Degenhart Show. Tyson Degenhart joining us. It's your show. You're now a media member and a show host, man. How's it feel?
This is a huge honor. I'm really happy to be the first BSU athlete to do this. So I think it's an incredible thing to do, and I'm really excited for this. Get
your questions in. Get your comments in. Coach Leon Rice is going to join us shortly. And just as kind of an FYI, I'm just on here to kind of help Tyson for the first episode, get this thing rolling. Once Tyson gets comfortable with using the platform and all this, hopefully you'll be hearing less and less of me as we move forward here. We already have Dennis chiming in. Really looking forward to this. Good luck with the new show. Thank you, BNN. Have a great show, Tyson. So we appreciate that, Dennis. Again, Coach Leon Rice going to join us here shortly. If you can't hear either of us, let us know. But we should be good on the audio, hopefully. And Tyson, before Coach Rice joins us here in a couple of minutes, let our listeners know kind of why you want to do the show, your goals for the show. Take our viewers here behind the scenes on the Tyson Degenhart Show.
I think this was a great opportunity for me to kind of, push the boundaries a little bit with this NIL space and allow myself to work with BJ and to, have my own show and get to talk to these great guests. And the big goal for this show is to get to know each guest on a more personal level. I know that, you hear people in interviews and see them out in the field or see them in the offices, but want to ask them, easier questions as in like, where they came from, how they got to Boise State and, all those kinds of questions.
Turn your mic down a little bit more. We're already having our first thing here. I was a little loud. I think it's hard for me to know exactly where you're at on that, but I think we're good. We're good. We'll take some more. We'll take your comments. It's a cool show. We're excited about this. We're going to have a guest every episode, Tyson, and I'm going to get out of the way. It's going to be you and Leon Rice kind of having a conversation here in about 10 minutes. We're looking forward to that. But you got some other cool guests you're excited about on the show as well, man.
Yeah. As for the second episode, we're planning on Jeremiah Dickey hopping on, and then the third episode it'll be after 4th of July, will be Dr. Marlene Trump, and then the fourth episode, which is kind of the bigger one for us, is Talon Green. So I think he's just signed an NIL deal with Lithia Ford. Just want to say congrats to him, and I think that should be a really great episode.
Looking forward to that. This show has been in the works for a long time, Tyson. We went back going all the way till when the season was still going on. We talked about possibly doing this. So the fact that we are making it work, I'm excited about that. And congratulations to you. As you said, you're the first Boise State athlete. We even have a San Diego State fan chiming in here, Tyson, saying this is a cool concept from a San Diego State fan. This is the first time a Boise State athlete has ever had his own show, has ever gotten paid to have his own show, I guess I should say. So we need to give a quick shout-out. Idaho Central Credit Union will be telling you all about them. You're sporting the shirt there. We appreciate it. Your head coach is calling me right now, so he probably can't figure out what he's doing. But we will. I'll try to call him back in a minute while you're talking. But this is the first time that an athlete has done this at Boise State. Your NIL deal with Idaho Central Credit Union is believed to be one of the biggest in history in terms of a Boise State athlete. So we're going to give you your first chance here, Tyson. And they say, as they say in the business, to fill. So I'm going to let you talk about ICCU. Why this was important to you, the deal, what all you're going to be doing, and then maybe talk about the golf tournament or whatever else you want to talk about for like 45 seconds till I can figure out and get Coach Rice on here. So this is all you, my man, and good luck. And but why just tell us about how this came about with ICCU and why you're looking forward to the show here.
Well, thank you guys for all tuning in. I'm a little nervous right now. This is the first time in the media thing for me, so if there's a couple stutters along the way, I apologize, but I'm learning on the fly. But how this kind of came out with ICCU, I'm from Spokane. I'm in Spokane right now. And, I know Central started to move up towards Spokane as of, last year. I think they built a branch downtown, and then they started moving up north towards me. And I thought it'd be great because, not only can I promote them while being in Boise, where there's a tons of branches, but also while I'm back home in Spokane. And so I thought it'd be a great fit because, you can promote the brand no matter where I was at. And I thought it was a great fit, and had some meetings with ICCU, and they're great people. They're a great bank to work with. And so I'm really excited about all these opportunities that they're giving me. I'm going to make a couple appearances here and there, and then some social media stuff, and then have the show, obviously. And so I'm really excited about that. And they were, there's a couple of those guys out at the golf tournament. Shelby was out there, and I was a little nervous on the first tee shot. Were you there for that, BJ? Do you remember that?
I did see that one. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was
By the way, your head, you can turn your mic down just a little tiny bit more, but your head coach was wondering what happens if the battery dies on his computer. So shocker, but he has his son Max Rice bringing his charger over for his computer, so he should be good, and he's going to join us momentarily. But does that surprise you that Coach Rice's laptop battery might be about to die?
Not really. He only uses it till the battery gets pretty low, so just hoping that we can make through this whole interview without it dying on us.
We got some comments coming in here. Jeff Grammer, how about this? Covers New Mexico for the Albuquerque Journal. Day one Tyson Degenhart Show listener. Don't tell the Lobo fans. Dayton says, looking forward to your show. Awesome that NIL allows this in events like the golf tournament last week. Chaz Fox, what an awesome show. Let's see. We can all say we were here when the famous sports commentator Tyson Degenhart started his career. So Bronco Nation updates wanting to know how long the shows will be, Tyson. We're going to go about an hour or so, maybe a little longer today for the debut episode. It's going to be twice a month. So about basically every other Tuesday. We're starting on a Monday because you've got a conflict tomorrow night. But every other Tuesday, essentially twice a month. And then once we get into the season, it's going to be once a month. So we will keep this going during the season. And we have planned this thing out with guests all the way to like October. So, it's a pretty cool concept, Tyson. And again, I'm going to be on the show less and less. So people that are tired of seeing me or hearing from me, you hear enough of me as it is. So I'm just helping the first episode, maybe the first couple here, Tyson. And then we're going to kind of fully turn this over to you. Chase says one of the best Boise State athletes ever. But tell us about your head coach, Leon Rice. We're going to have him come on in a couple minutes here. Tell all of our listeners, and the floor is yours, your relationship with your head coach and why you wanted him to be the first guest here.
Well, it's an honor to have Coach Rice on the show. I know he's a big celebrity in Boise, being here for 13 plus years. My relationship started with Coach Rice, about like the sixth grade, because his youngest son Cade played AAU with me. And so we kind of, knew each other through there. And then, it was a great recruiting process throughout high school, calling in every once in a while, coming to some games, making it really easy to make the decision to come to BSU. And then, he's been an awesome coach throughout these past 2 years. I wouldn't want to be playing for anyone else. He really pushes you to, be your best while also, instilling the confidence that you need. He'll pull you aside and, talk to you, see how you're feeling, make sure everyone's, on the right page. And I think that's really big as a coach and a player, because, you got to trust your coach. And when he, asks you questions and asks how you're feeling and asks what you see out on the court, it's a huge thing to trust your players and to trust your coach like that. So it's awesome to have him on the show. And I'm sure he's going to have some great stories to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we got a nice long list, and we're hoping Coach opens up a little bit and has some fun with this. We're not going to throw him under the bus, but he's not the most technologically advanced when it comes to things like this. So just getting him on the air here will be the first challenge. Once we get him on here in a couple of minutes, I think we're going to be excited for that. But go back to your recruitment before we bring him on. Like, when was the first time you ever met Coach Rice? What do you remember about going way back? And I know maybe you're going to want to bring that up with Coach, but just talk about, the early days of Coach Rice and what sold you on wanting to play for him.
So I knew of him, with Cade throughout like 6th, 7th grade probably. And then I met him at a showcase down in California. I think that was going into my junior year. And so right after that, he had invited me to elite camp, and went to elite camp, played pretty well, got the offer, and then a month later came on my official visit and committed a couple of days after that. And I just remember that time between the visit and the time I committed. It was just this really stressful time because I knew I wanted to do it, but I had to give myself a couple of days to kind of sleep on it, make sure it was the right decision for me. And that was before all the transfer portal and NIL stuff, but it's paid dividends for me to come to such a special place. And I'm grateful for Coach Rice and the whole coaching staff for allowing me to, be myself in Boise and allow me to play my game.
Any good, we could put him on the spot here in a couple of minutes, but any good Leon Rice stories or any locker room speeches or any practice meltdowns or anything that you can share about Coach Rice to get us a little more inside access here to Coach Rice?
He, after losses, he doesn't say much. And I think that's such an important thing because, you don't always know what went wrong in the game until you watch back the tape. And I think that's something that he does a really great job of, is after a loss, like, just go flush it and we'll have practice in the next day. And, we'll figure it out after we watch the tape. And he does the same thing with wins. He doesn't say much. He said, good win. Let's keep moving. And he just keeps it short and sweet. And I know he's said that a bunch of times, but it's a really true statement. And it really has shown dividends the past 2 years.
What's your favorite Leon Rice saying? He's got a lot of sayings. Some things he'll say more than others, or things where you think about it for a second and then you realize it makes sense. But anything that comes to mind, the Leon Rice sayings?
He definitely has a lot. I think the one that comes to mind is short and sharp. It's one of those things where if you're in practice, you can get it done really quickly. Then we move on to the next thing, and it really pushes your mental capacity a little bit because you got to be so sharp each and every time and make that rep 100% because it could be the last one of the day, and you want to make sure you get through everything in practice.
Well, again, we will take your questions for Coach Rice. If you have a question for Leon Rice, we'll take that. At the end of the show, Tyson, we'll have an opportunity to take some more questions for you once we get to the interview. We're also going to have a segment. We're still thinking of a good name right now. It's the three-man weave, where we'll talk about the NBA playoffs going on, the NHL finals going on as well, and then the Seattle Mariners even. So we'll have a little time after our guests to talk about some non-Boise State topics that are on your mind, that might be on listeners' mind. We'll take it, by the way, if other folks throughout the days leading up to the next episode have a suggestion for a topic they'd like to hear you talk about, that we can suggest that. Email me. I'll forward it on to Tyson, and we'll get it taken care of in terms of that. But we do want to hear some questions from you guys. And while we're waiting for Coach Rice to come on here in a minute or two, we can even get to one of those maybe before. We do have Tom Pyle, who's outing himself. He was Buster Bronco for a couple years, and he says it was fun working all the basketball games, seeing you play. Tyson, you have been here kind of during the ascension of the program here the last couple of years with all the big crowds, making the tournament the last couple of years. What has it been like these 2 years to really have an opportunity to help take Boise State kind of reach new heights here?
It's been incredible. I remember coming into college and just wanting to make the NCAA tournament one time in my career. And, after getting that my freshman year, it was a big thing to make sure to get back. And we got back last year, but we didn't accomplish what we wanted to do. And so now this upcoming year, we've brought in some great pieces, and we have a great team assembled, in my opinion, as of right now. And, I think this summer is going to be a really great step for us to build up that team camaraderie to make sure that we win those games in March.
All right, well, our special guest is ready to go. Again, the Tyson Degenhart Show presented by Idaho Central Credit Union. We will get right to Leon Rice after a quick word from our title sponsor, and that, of course, is Idaho Central Credit Union.
Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Tyson, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. So in honor of our first guest, we want to bring on a Richland High School grad, two-time Mountain West Coach of the Year, Coach Rice. Thank you for joining us on this first episode of the Tyson Degenhart Show.
Well, it's been an honor to be the first guest on the Tyson Degenhart Show, the first of many great ones, I think, right?
Yeah, we're hoping so.
By the way, Coach, I instructed him that you answer my questions way too often, so I'm hoping that this is you and Tyson talking as much as possible here. I'm here to help Tyson. The first episode jitters kind of go here, but you can no comment me as often as you'd like, but Tyson will have the majority of the questions here. I think fans would much rather hear you and Tyson chat than me and Tyson. And based on the outline and the prep. I'm sure you're not surprised, Coach, that he did his homework here, but he's got a whole outline and list of topics and questions. And I think this is going to be a good chat if you can give us the next 30 minutes or so of your time. I think this is going to be exciting. And so I will step out of the way. I do have a couple, but Tyson, the floor is yours here, sir.
Yeah. So, Coach, you were at the golf tournament on Friday. What'd you think of it? How'd you play? Yeah.
Well, I think I'm done with golf for a while. I kind of do things in spurts, hobbies like that. I don't, golf takes a lot of time, and it can be addicting, and you want to, when you play, you want to be good at it. So if you start to get a little bit better and you're like, oh, I could get good at this. So no, I'm taking the clubs, I'm throwing them in the back of the garage and maybe get a round or two in before the school year starts. But, the team's starting to come back. We're going to, things are starting to heat up for us. And then, I got the USA basketball stuff. So golf is for later.
You going to be ready for the match again with you and Burns versus RJ and I for the summer?
Oh, yes. We got to do that, no doubt. And you guys are improving, so I think that's going to be a tough one. But so are we. I think I've improved since last time we played.
That's good. You mentioned USA basketball. Tell us about that. We know you did it last year with the U18 team. Now you're doing it with the U19 team. Just tell us a little bit about that, where you're going, what days you're going to be gone. So,
yeah. Well, it's been just an amazing experience, and it's such an honor to get to, I think every kid in every sport, whether you're a track and field athlete or you kind of watched the Olympics all these years, you watched, international play, and in this country to wear USA on your chest is pretty special. And we approach it that way. We take a lot of pride in our work and representing the United States. Last year I coached the under 18s, and it was Tad Boyle, myself, and Mike Boynton from Oklahoma State. And we had to qualify for the Worlds with the 18s. So you have a qualifying year, and then you have the World Championships. And we're, the 19s this next year are the World Championships, and we qualified. We won that tournament we were in. There was the Tournament of the Americas. And so now we go on to the Worlds, and we dominated the Tournament of the Americas. Our average margin of victory was 56. Yeah, I didn't know how dominant we would be. Probably would have been a little more relaxed and enjoyed the ride a little bit more had I known that. But, we got enjoyment out of it. It was pretty neat. And to stand on the medal stand and get your gold medal, it was a great experience. But, going to the Worlds is a different animal. There's great teams that have been together a lot longer than us. We kind of get an all-star team, put them together for about 8 to 10 days of practice, and then you're off to play. So, I thought Tad did a great job with it. It's fun to be an assistant again and get to work with positions. I got to coach the big guys, which I really love to do. And so it was just a great experience. And, Tad was giving me the, hey, understand we got a lot more pressure on us playing in the Worlds. And I said, hey, what's this we business? I'm the assistant coach. I'm going to give you the Mike Burns line, right?
Yeah, that's good. Now you talked about those 8 to 10 days of practice. What do those look like compared to like our practice days?
Yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, there's so much to get in, and I went there with a full playbook and thoughts and things that, hey, we could do this and this and this, and it has to be, in that short a time. We're so spoiled, and it changed my perspective on how we get ready. It really did, because the way we get ready in college basketball, we have so much time compared to something like that. And so it really made me understand our business a little bit better, but made me understand how simple you have to keep it in what you do and what you try to do in those USA situations. Because, you got to get a zone offense in, zone defense, presses, man, everything, out of bounds plays, side out of bounds plays, and you got to get good at them in a hurry. So you're going to go double days. You're going to do all that kind of thing, but you got to get a lot jammed in, but you also got to try to keep it as simple as you can. And defense really won it for us.
Yeah, defense definitely wins championships. That's something Mike Burns would say, right?
No doubt. And it's true. Teams couldn't dribble against us. So that was good.
So now we're going to kind of transition into your like early coaching days, kind of how you got started. I know some people may know how you started at Oregon, but do you want to give that story about how you got a little GA job at Oregon?
Yeah. It's funny because I talked to my old high school coaches and even my old teammates from junior high school, elementary school. They were like, we always knew you were going to be a coach. Just the way I was coaching our guys in the summer. I was going out recruiting some of the better athletes that weren't playing football, and I recruited them and I taught them stuff. And one of them got a Pac-12 scholarship. I always joke with him, like, you owe me your college degree because I got you that scholarship, because he wasn't even playing football. He was such a good athlete. He actually lives here in Boise, Tom Cushing. And he was such a good athlete. He came out 1 year and got a Pac-12 scholarship. And so I guess, always kind of what was my passion, what I liked to do, what I wanted to do. I found an old career paper that I wrote in 9th grade that said, when they make you do those, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then you have to research a little bit. And I researched college coaching and said, that's what I want to do. And so I got out of college, and I student taught, and I was teaching migrant night school. Then I was substitute teaching. I was managing a bar, and I was working from 7 a.m. till 2 at night almost every day. But I was having fun doing it. And Mike Guajardo remembered me. He was the head coach at Pasco High School, and he remembered me from my days at Richland and said, hey, you want to get into coaching? Come coach my 9th grade team. And I coached his 9th grade team at Pasco. And I just remember him telling me, like, if you win a game with these guys, you're a great coach, because it was the B team and he didn't think they were going to be good. And we went undefeated. And I'm like, well, this is easy. I love it. And so, I wanted to get into college coaching all along. And I was fortunate enough because Mike Guajardo, Don Munson, used to coach at Pasco High School. So we had a connection. I worked his camps for a couple of years, and I was just super persistent. I wouldn't take no for an answer. And he said, well, if you can get into grad school, then you got a job. And so he actually said, if you can get into grad school, I'll give you a Oregon shirt, and you can stand around with your hands in your pocket. And I was like, deal, I'll take it. So I got into grad school somehow, and was his grad assistant for a couple of years. And then one of the assistants left, and I got moved up into ops, what is now the ops spot. So I was doing Red's job for a couple of years. And then I went from there to Northern Colorado for 3, which was a Division II at the time. And that was a great experience for me because I had to do everything. And I learned a new part of the country, recruiting, new contacts, and I just learned how to do everything that way. And then I went to Yakima, and Coach Nicholas and I were the co-head coaches for a while at Yakima. And then I was the head coach. And then Dan got the Minnesota job, Dan Munson. And Mark called me and was like, hey, you got to come. And I'm like, well, I have it really good here at Yakima. I like it. And they were coming off an Elite 8. And I kind of actually said no to him. And I hung up the phone. And I told Robin, I think I got to do this. And Brock was 2 years old, and Max was about to be born like a couple days later. So Robin was a trooper for me to take a new job at that time with a 2-year-old and a newborn. And Brock was actually in the hospital. He had a stomach problem that was pretty serious and had to have emergency surgery. And so we had all this going on, but Robin's like, you need to do it. Go. So it was tough.
Yeah. How did you and Coach Few meet? Were you guys both at Oregon, or how did that?
We were working Oregon camp, and I remember it like it was yesterday. We were both sitting at registration and just talking, and both of us wanted to get into college basketball, and he really wanted that Oregon grad assistant job, and I knew I wanted it, and I knew I was going to get it. So we were kind of competing for the same job. Well, then I was at Oregon for a little bit. Then, through our connections of Dan and all these guys, that there became a bit of a spot at Gonzaga. And Mark was like, well, why don't you go up to Gonzaga since you're from there, and I'll stay here at Oregon since I'm from here. And I'm like, no way, I'm not going to, are they even Division One? I don't. So I stayed at Oregon, and Mark went to Gonzaga, and we talked all the time. And this was back before cell phones, and Gonzaga had when I was a Division II guy, they had a 1-800 number that went to their switchboard, and I would call Mark on that 1-800 number almost every day. And so we were just really, really close. And so when Dan left, I was the one that he brought in. Because nobody went with Dan, so it was just one spot they had to fill, and I was fortunate enough to come on.
That's very exciting. It's probably a cool thing to look back on, and one of those decisions that you see, like, in that moment, you're like, what would happen if I didn't say yes to that, and where your life would end up. It's always something really cool to think about.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great coaches that's just the decisions, and it's a fine line to get a break, not get a break, because there's a guy named Jeff Rhineland. He's the coach at Walla Walla Community College. He's one of the best coaches I've ever went against, and he just maybe never got that break, and he just stayed at Walla Walla, had a great career. And I think I would have been perfectly happy at Yakima but that's hard to do for 30 something years. And but that's just like life. That's coaching. There's you can be that close, but you need a break to have those things happen for you. And then you got to take advantage of those breaks. And that's what we did at Gonzaga. We took that Elite Eight team and we built, we knew we had to build that program off of that. And, for 11 straight years, went to the tournament, went to, I think, 5 Sweet 16s. And, those were the bricks that kind of built Gonzaga. First with Fitzgerald, then Dan, and then Mark, took it off.
Yeah. So I've had people in Spokane ask me, like, hey, are you guys going to ever play Gonzaga? So I know you're really close with Coach Few and Coach Lloyd and Coach Monson. Like, why won't you play one of them?
Because there's kind of nothing worse than having to play your friends when you know it's coming. And we vacation together. I don't know. We're all really competitive. And so, our friendship is pretty important, but we also have jobs to do. And if you kind of mix those two, I don't think it's a great recipe. It's a lot easier because you got to have people you can lean on in this business. And we all lean on each other a lot, and we're all open about our programs to each other and bounce ideas off each other and share video, and I think if we're playing each other, it would probably change that. Not probably, it would change that dynamic. And so we don't want to sacrifice that.
That makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of viewers are wondering that, and I'm glad to get that answer out in the open so everyone can kind of know that, and so they can stop asking you about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard a lot.
And I'm sure, they put us in the same bracket a couple times now, and they want that matchup, I guess. They say they don't do that, but we're both in the West, and 2 of the sites are next year are Spokane and Salt Lake. So I think it'd be really cool to bring Tyson Degenhart play an NCAA tournament in Spokane. So with that being said, you might end up, but with the pod system, you never know. So the key is getting a good location, but the best seed you can get. And that's always our focus.
Yeah. I think that would be very cool to have an NCAA tournament game in the arena downtown and just have so many fans there. I think that the support in Spokane would rally around us, even if Gonzaga would be in that same pod or same region.
That'd be cool. That'd be great. And, but you can't control that. You just try to get the best seed you can. But you also want a good location so your fans can get there. And we would love either one of those. Salt Lake or Spokane would be great for our fans.
What about another game in Spokane, Coach? It went really well last year. Any are you guys trying at all to keep that rolling?
That's been a good series for both of us. And that is, we're always trying to get that, those to continue. And like I said, it was a great experience. I think, I know I had a great experience up there. And I thought the arena did a great job because we've known all those people for a long time, and the Davenport was terrific. And I think Tyson had a great time where we all went to his house for dinner and got to play video games. And so, we're working on that kind of stuff.
Well, this is the Tyson Degenhart Show. If you have your question or comment, there's a couple we'll get to at the end of the interview. Some folks are asking some questions. Coach, what's the mid-interview report? How's he doing as an interviewer here?
Awesome. Key to a good interview, if you get your subject talking, right, BJ? You want just let him go and hit him with some good ones and let him go.
Well,
so
I'll get out of the way, but just wanted to kind of reset here. This is the Tyson Degenhart Show, Bronco Nation News, thanks to Idaho Central Credit Union. I will ask one question and hand it back over to Tyson. But, Coach, you mentioned the friendships and all the coaches you meet along the way. Any good stories from the local pubs on the AAU tournaments, or any stories about other coaches, or who are some other coaches maybe that you like to enjoy catching up with on the road? And I know it's a camaraderie. You talk about, Coach Few, and I mean, you guys, every coach knows every coach across the country when it comes to some of these tournaments and recruiting and things like that. What's that like? I guess the brotherhood of coaching, and who are some guys that you always enjoy shaking hands with and sharing a cold one with if you get a chance to?
Well, we had a great group that kind of all started out together as the young guys, and we were all grad assistants, like I said, and we were all kind of scratch and claw working our way up, and it was kind of a rat pack scenario with me and Mark Few and Dan Munson, who's now the head coach at Long Beach and was at Gonzaga, and then he went to Minnesota. Billy Greer, who was an assistant at Gonzaga, and then he went to San Diego. Now he's at Colorado. He was at Oklahoma State, so he's he was in that original group. Tad Boyle, Mark Turgeon, Ray Giacoletti, I'm sure, Jim Herrick Jr., who just passed away recently. We lost one of them. And so it's kind of a slap in the face of wow, one of our guys that we were the young guys a minute ago running around in this business. And, we just had such a good time because we worked so hard, and we ran together really hard, and we were, it was amazing that what we got to do together. And the stories, we had a million great recruiting stories back then, and because we were doing it on no money and no recruiting budgets either, hardly. The places we were coaching at, I was at a Division II. Gonzaga didn't have much then, and I remember one time they had a booster who had a car dealership, and he gave us this little Volkswagen, those convertibles with the hatchback, and we're driving down the 405 because we drove from Vegas back to we got the car in LA, drove to Vegas, watched games, drove back to LA, and the bumper fell off on 405. And we're like, what do we do? This isn't even our car. We had to get off on the 405, run through the road, get the bumper, put it in we got a bumper sticking out of our the back hatchback of the car, and we pull in to go recruiting, and now we can't lock the car because there's a bumper sticking out. And it was just
Did you get the recruit you wanted?
Oh yeah, I think we did. I think there were but that was back when it was a 30-day evaluation period, and we were gone so long, and it was it was kind of at the start or maybe even before cell phones, and I remember, like, Robin has some of I would write her letters like I was away at sea, like, my dearest Robin, it's been a fortnight since I've seen you. I mean, it makes it seem like so long ago, but we'd be out for 30 straight days on a shoestring, and those were great memories and great experiences, and we all kind of looked out for each other and took care of each other, and as far as all of us, and then all of a sudden we just one day looked around and we went, we're not the young guys anymore. How did that happen? And the neat thing for me is to see all these guys like Tad and Turge and Billy and Ray and Mark. I mean, Ray was National Coach of the Year. Tad's been Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Turge, with all his success at A&M, at Wichita State, at Maryland. And all of us, we started out at the bottom, and it's a great American story. It really is. It's pretty neat. And just, we live and die with each other's successes, and we've leaned on each other for 30 plus years, and our wives are all good friends. So it's a pretty special deal to have gotten to grow up with those guys in coaching, and those guys were a big part of me taking this job 14 years ago. I remember Mark Turgeon, I didn't want to leave. And he's like, you got to do it. And he really was adamant about me, taking this job, knowing that this would be a good fit for me. And then Ray, Ray he said, if you don't take this job, I'm going to punch you in the nose. So kind of didn't have a choice.
That's very cool. I think one of the other cool things about you being in this big coaching tree is to see all your kids become super close. You want to talk about that a little bit? I know.
Yeah, that's a good question, Tyson, because that's been a really neat thing is because, Marcy and Robin were having all these kids and we were in the midst of it because we knew at that point at Gonzaga, we either had to keep building it or it was going to drop back to a level, because you look at like what Santa Clara did in the Nash years, they went to the Elite Eight and I think the Sweet 16 the next year, and then they had to dip back. Well, we knew that we had to capitalize on that. That created a lot of pressure and a lot of work. And, we were losing that first group that did it, the Santangelo, From, all those guys. And we had to replace all those guys and keep that thing moving. And we did with like the Pargos, Boldens, Morrison, all those guys. And that, if we weren't able to do that, it would have changed history. And we knew, but we were aware of it. So that put us out on the road a lot, recruiting, doing all that stuff. And, those wives kind of huddled up together and raised 7, 8, we had our kids, Few's kids, Tommy Lloyd's kids, and they were all kind of raised together. Great memories of on a Saturday, we'd go down to the arena and have those long Saturday practices and we'd be watching film. And those kids, that was their playground. They'd be riding the scooters around the concourse and they'd be, playing hide seek, and some of them were little. And we, as dads, we were like, oh, there's nothing they can get into. They'll be fine. And I remember one day, this won't surprise you, Tyson, old Joe Few comes around the corner and he's got Dippin' Dots all over his face. He had broke into the Dippin' Dot machine, found his way in there, that they sell at the games. We're like, Joe, you can't do that. And he's like, and they were all pointing fingers at each other. And Joe had the Dippin' Dots all over his face. So he'll say Cade did it. Cade will say Joe did it. And then they pass it on to Liam. So, because he was the youngest at the time, but they were little at that time. So I think they had to do some chores to earn that Dippin' Dots. To repay it. But there's just a lot of great memories of all those guys growing up together. Well, they've stayed tight all these years and they're all still best of friends. And it was through basketball that they've been able to do that. And, the trips to the NCAA tournament, the trips to the Final Four when Gonzaga made it in Phoenix, we got all those kids together and it was kind of a reunion and they're on a group chat now. And it's pretty special. And, you're right in the middle of all those guys. So you know how it is and you're good friends with all of them. So you've seen it up close.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch back on recruiting. Do you remember the Gonzaga prep game that you and Coach Marsh went to?
Yeah.
Would you have any second thought? Did you have any second thoughts watching me play and he's not playing very well? Did you have any second thoughts about?
No, I don't do that. Because when I go, I'm all in and I know what, because I don't get too caught up on, I want guys that play right. I mean, I went to a game one time and I watched a kid score 2 points, and I had taken a Division II coach with me. It was when I was at Gonzaga, and I flew into Colorado, drove out to a little town called Brush, Colorado, and this kid's playing at a low level. He was from just outside of Greeley, and he scored 2 points against 5'10" guys, and he was 6'9". And so this Division II coach drove out with me, and he said, man, he was trying to be respectful. He's like, you think he's good enough to play at Gonzaga? I'm like, yeah, I already know. And because they double and triple teamed him every time, and he did not get bored with making the right play. And his teammate set a state record for 3-pointers because of him kicking it out. So I said, that was the right thing. And I want guys that can play that way. Well, he went on to be the 17th pick in the draft. So it was you can't get off base by what people are saying. You got to look for yourself. You got to judge with your own eyes, and you got to have a feel for that. And your feel is developed over time. And the story about you that Robin was on it from when you were an 8th grader. And so we saw something in there way, way back, and so that didn't, that never wavers on one game. It's all how people react and how they act and how they play and if they play right. Because, sometimes ball's going to go in, sometimes it's not. And I don't think you had a bad game. I think you had like 24.
I don't think I had that many. I remember I had like 2 fouls in the first like 2 minutes and just kind of put myself in a tough spot. And I knew that you and Barsh were going to be there and Coach Few was going to be in the stands. And I put a little extra pressure on myself to make sure, because I hadn't beaten Gonzaga up until that point. And
but they double teamed you that night too. And some of your guys, some of your teammates took some bad shots. I didn't like that. They should have thrown you the ball more. And they did, because they boxed and won you, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I know, Maddie.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, there was never a second thought on that. And that we knew what we're getting, Tyson.
That's always good to hear. BJ, do you want to come back on and ask about his...
I do. I would like to ask a question, Coach. We know you love the officials. They work really hard.
I'm not going to comment. You said I could give you the no comment. I'm not going to give no comment. I'm not going to.
No. I just we had a little list of questions here. And we're getting towards the end. We appreciate your time. We got probably 5-10 minutes left, and but we know you haven't seen too many calls you agree with over the years, and that's fine.
That's not true, and that's not fair. So,
what is there any while you're opening up here to your player Tyson? Is there any stories or anything you can? You don't have to name the official, but any stories or any good stories that go back with a comment or a call or calling a ref over or what is the art of working the officials, I guess, or anything in terms of the officials you're willing to share with us here?
I think was it Prater that wrote that article, I think?
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Well, the one thing that I really liked about that article and that I'm really proud of is that the way our players act. And the way they are, they know that's my job and I'm going to do that for them. So they don't have to worry about it. So if it does come off, maybe I'm too much on them sometimes, maybe I don't agree with it. Whatever it might be, if it helps our players be better on the court, and if it helps them not have to do that and act the way they act, then I'll take that bullet because it's worth it. Because when I didn't think that much about it because just that's the way it's been. And when I started paying attention to that, when I'd watch film, I'm like, yeah, that is, because it's been the way it's been. I maybe took it for granted, but it is great. You watch our guys, they're terrific. And they show high character and but I don't know if some of that is because they know I'm going to fight for them and I'm going to do that. And we just don't allow it, but it's also the kind of guys we have.
Is there an art to it though, where if you complain too much, the refs will just tune you out? I mean, how do you have to work?
Just different guys, I always, I go to the gym with the intent of being respectful to them and have some empathy to their position. It's a hard job, really hard job. But the challenge with college basketball, when I watch these pro games, there, there's not 365 teams, so there's not as many officials. So they get the same guys. So there's more of a consistency to the way the pro games ref. I think the hard part for college players and college coaches is you could have one set of officials that ref one way, and then the very next night you just have a completely different standard, and it is hard to adjust. That's one of the biggest complaints. Because there's so many games night after night and so many different combinations, you just never know what you're going to get.
Well, another question, Coach, that I've always wanted to ask you. Hopefully you're willing to open up about it because I kind of know the answer off air. But you've been here over a decade. You've had a lot of recruiting gets, a lot of recruiting misses, a lot of almost gets. Any famous ones stand out to you, or any that you guys that went on to be stars elsewhere that could have been Boise State Broncos or guys you're willing? I mean, I know it's a crazy world because you get 2 or 3 players a year added to your team, but initially you're going out after a much wider pool year after year. In your decade plus year here, are there any that stand out to you where it's like you almost had some guys that end up being just huge time players elsewhere?
Yeah. I mean, when you were saying that, a ton of names cycled through my my mind. But, you know, one of the things, and that's where experience helps you. We knew, like I said, I'm not joking. We knew what Tyson was, and we knew what he was going to become. And you never know exactly. I'm not saying we had it exactly figured out that he'd be freshman of the year and all that kind of things that he was able to do. But so I paid attention to my inner voice there. My mistakes when I look back, some of the mistakes I've made over the years that, you know, as coaches, we bounce those off each other and talk about them, were when we didn't trust what we saw and didn't act on it, you know, because I look back and I know some ones that right away jump into my mind, like, oh, I knew he was good. And I maybe thought, well, let's try to get a little bit better. No, he was an OKG. We knew he was going to be great, and we didn't move on it for one reason or another. And so that's experience. You learn to trust your gut more, and you know, you can also see, like, okay, I watched this guy when he was a sophomore. Here's where he ended up. Oh, this guy reminds me of that. So it helps. It's almost like a Rolodex of information in your mind of, okay, I'm seeing this guy. He reminds me of that. And so the more years you get doing that, the better you get at it. And so that's where experience helps you so much.
Well, we do have a couple of comments here. Someone named Max Teams is watching, and he says, I'm supposed to ask you who your favorite practice ref is.
Oh, of course, he's my second favorite. I think I'm my own favorite, right? No doubt. So yeah, he's pretty good, though. I'm going to miss Teams. He did a great job for us, and he was a good official, right? Tyson, you guys would complain about him too much. That's the one area where they would. You know, the worst. There was two of the worst I've ever had at practice. Actually, the three. I can tell you, the three guys at practice who would complain about officials a lot during practice because they were super competitive and they didn't like. You know, I'd be coaching sometimes and I'd forget to call fouls, or we'd be more worried about coaching, and these guys are competing and they want to win. Number one was Nick Duncan. Oh my God, he'd get so mad at me. And James Reed was that way too. Jeff Aloriaga. Those three were the worst three at practice.
Would you call some stuff just to get him going a little bit sometimes?
Well, then I'd go the other way against them practice. Yeah. No doubt. Those three were the worst. This group we have, Max can get sideways, right? Tyson, who else would you say, Tyson?
Cade can get that way too.
Cade doesn't get a vote, Scout team guys don't get a vote. There's a hierarchy to that thing. And that when James was redshirting and he'd complain, I'm like, James, you're on the scout team. No, well, one time we had John Stockton. I think it was either when he was done. We were getting ready to play Davidson, and he wasn't Curry. Richie Fromm was back, and he was helping us out, and so he was Curry. And Davidson had a point guard. Richards was his last name. He's a great point guard, but he could really pass. And, so you're like, oh, John will be a perfect point guard for this, right? And so I'm running the plays, and John's getting mad at me because I'm not calling fouls for him. Tyson's laughing because he's played in that deal, but he's just so competitive. I'm like, John, I'm just trying to get the team ready for Davidson. I don't care if he got fouled. He was getting mad at me, and it was great. But that's, guys want to compete, and they want to, they're used to competing and used to being level, but you're distracted by trying to get your team ready. So.
Well, Coach, let's see. Dennis says here, Coach Rice, pure treasure. So thankful to have him. Happy early Father's Day. Coach Jacob says he'll be at the San Francisco game. His first Boise State game at Extra Mile Arena will be the San Francisco game. Driving up with my best friend from San Francisco, who is an alumni there. Hope we kick their butt so I can talk smack. James says Aloriaga had the nicest looking three that I have ever seen. James is impressed with your memory as well. How does Coach Rice remember all of this? Tyson, I know as we wrap it up here with Coach Rice here in the final couple of minutes, you have an idea.
Hey, we're just getting going.
We got plenty of time.
This is the inaugural. This is
okay. All right.
Show. We don't want to cut it short. We haven't got into any of the deep stuff about Tyson or me. I
actually had on Tyson's list. I thought he should ask you what does he need to work on as a player. What are your thoughts on Tyson as a player? And obviously in 2 years, in 2 years, he's done some things here, coach, that not many players have done. Obviously going to 2 straight tournaments already. And what he's done as the moving forward freshman of the year, now a player of the year candidate here. And that's not even talking about how he represents the program off the court and all the NIL deals and things like this. I mean, hosting his own show. What are your thoughts on Tyson and let's get a little criticism out there. Come on, what do you want to see him do a little better here this coming season?
It's not criticism. It's just that's one of our maxims is blue collar, and blue collar has that. We have that mentality of getting better and every day getting better. And Tyson came here with high aspirations and wants to accomplish these great things at Boise State and have a great college experience, great college career. That's number one. Number two is we want to prepare him to play after college. And, he's got, that's why it was important for us to get, some bodies. So he's not just a 30-minute a game center and 7 or 5 minute a game 4-man, maybe. I don't know what the exact numbers were last year, but there was a lot of minutes at center. And
do you think that impacted some of the other things like the 3-point shooting?
No doubt about it. It changes that. I mean, you're guarding. It's like, okay, you're going to do power cleans and squats and then go shoot threes when you're playing the 5. So, he's going to become more athletic. His body's going to change even more the next 2 years as he, goes from being a young man to a man. And, he's going to become more of a 3-point shooting threat because he's one of the best shooters we've ever had in this program. And the numbers just haven't caught up with how good he shoots it. So you're going to see more of a, like maybe the things like Duncan Robinson, kind of guys like that, where Joe Harris, where he just becomes that automatic. And with his size and, as that body keeps changing, the athleticism, and with this intelligence, I want the sky to be the limit and think really, really big for Tyson. And I think he wants that too. And the great thing about him, he'll work towards that. And so you'll see another big jump.
I joked at the golf tournament that he looked like a NASCAR driver with the hat and the shirt and all the different sponsors he had on there. I mean, he's obviously navigated this NIL world better than maybe any athlete at Boise State in terms of all the different deals that he has. And every time I scroll on Instagram, I'm seeing him hawking a new product on there. I mean, what can you say about his professionalism and his maturity at this point to be able to do all that? And it doesn't really seem like it's impacted him on the court.
No, and it won't, because he's organized with it. And, the great thing is he's changed his major even because of all this stuff. But when the NIL came out, we wrapped our minds and our hands and our hearts around it because we know what kind of community we have. We know what kind of guys we have, that the community is going to love them and take care of. Our community is making a difference in them because they're stepping up. Well, we can do better than the rest of the Mountain West because of this community. We have a unique situation that is going to be one of the best ones in the country that way. And we kind of knew that when these rules came out. Now it's just a matter of getting everybody on board, getting everybody involved and making it work. So it's a win-win every situation. And that's what Tyson's so great at. He delivers on what he says he's going to do. And, our guys take pride in that and they're grateful for it too. So, I just really love it. And I think it's great for these guys. And we're the only team in the Mountain West that did not lose a starter to the portal. And that's because of this community and because they've stepped up for these guys and this program. And not, when I say this program, I mean all our athletic teams. And, you can't have a great football team, men's basketball, women's basketball, all these other teams that we have, if you don't have the community behind them.
Well, before you came on, Coach, we had San Diego State fans commenting, saying they love the concept. Jeff Grammer was commenting, saying that he's a viewer from day one. I mean, we're all Mountain West fans are watching this, but just to get to the point in 2+ years here where he literally was able to negotiate a deal to host his own show and to do some appearances and things like this. I mean, what does this say about him as a person that he's gotten to this point?
Yeah, no doubt. You get what you deserve in this program and like I said, and in this community and stuff, and he's getting what he deserves. And, we're fortunate to have a lot of guys like Tyson on this team and his leadership and the way he represents. It's priceless. And, any corporation, company, anybody that is wanting somebody like that to represent them, it's a great investment and it's going to pay dividends.
Okay, final couple of things here, Coach. We'll get you out of here. Tyson, I know you
Oh.
had an idea for this, Tyson, that you wanted to kind of have a signature question that you're going to ask all the guests, moving forward, that we could kind of link back and forth. And by the way, Leon, I mean, you're the first guest here. The next three are two of your bosses, Jeremiah Dickey and Marlene Trump. And then Talon Green is the guest in episode 4. I think Talon and Tyson could break the internet or something when they have a chat together in episode.
That will be. I'll watch that. That's going to be all of them. I would love. I can't wait for President and AD. That's a great lineup. That's going to be terrific. I can't wait to watch those.
But Tyson, the floor is yours. Maybe set up why you wanted this as your signature question, and then the floor is yours for Coach Rice.
Yeah, my parents and I kind of talked about this. We wanted to have kind of like a signature question that we can ask all of our guests so that we can get to know them on a more personal level. So the signature question is, besides your close family and friends, who has made a huge impact on your life and why? How?
Well, I got a lot of them. Well, I guess, yeah, your wife is family, so I can't say that one. She's had the biggest impact on me, no doubt about it. But I was fortunate. You become in this business what's modeled for you maybe as a young coach. And I was really fortunate to get in. Don Munson, he operated with integrity. And, that's kind of where the live in truth stuff started. And, I wanted to operate a program with integrity and that kind of thing. And he was a big mentor. He got me into college. I wouldn't have got into college when I did without Don. And so Mike Guajardo, Don Munson got me going. Dean Nicholson was one of my huge mentors in the way he coached. His philosophies maybe were the closest to the way I coach now. He was a legendary coach at Central Washington for 26 years. And I was fortunate enough at the end of his career, he came out of retirement for us to work together. And I learned so much at that, the way he handles things and the respect he gave to his players. And, that's what I've tried to model myself after. And then, I've had a lot of great coach. Mark and I, obviously our friendship and the way we have helped each other over the years, and Tad and all those guys I named that are in the Rat Pack, Tad and Billy and Dan and, Turge and all those kind of guys, Billy Walker, guys that we've been along, the ride or die guys that have been with us from the start. So, but like I said, I've been fortunate to, you just keep adding these great guys. I got here and I got to know Coach Pete and watch the things he did, bounce things off him now and then. And, I'm lucky because Coach Pagano, Coach Cutter, I've gotten to be friends with those guys. And, Coach Pagano, just amazing guy, but dealing with cancer and then coming back. And, he was one of the best starts in NFL history for his first 3 years. They went 11-5 with the Colts. And, just picking those guys' brains. I've been really, really fortunate to have these great mentors. Judd, all those years we used to go to lunch with Judd every Tuesday, me and Coach Few. And man, I miss those guys. And Coach Kingsbury from Edmonds. So there was a lot of them, but all of those guys had one thing in common, and they operated out of wanting, they want to take care of their players. And so I had that mentor to me, and they did, all of those guys did things the right way on the up and up and live in truth, all those things that we preach to you. It's a big, every single one of those guys, if you look at their history, that's the way they operated their programs. So I've been fortunate because, I'd be a different coach today if I didn't have all those guys and the great things they stood for to have taught me.
That's very cool. And as you've talked about that, I can really see a lot of the things that they've instilled in you, and you do definitely do all those things that you listed there. So we're going to ask you one more question. How excited are you about our team this upcoming year?
Well, it's everything here has been brick by brick. Like we talked about what was modeled in the football program. And, I remember about 4 or 5 years into this job, I came back to Gonzaga for one of those reunions we had, and we were having a dinner or something, and John asked me like, "Hey, when are you going to have this thing like Gonzaga?" And I said, "John, Mark's been there. First of all, he was there like 10 or 11 years as an assistant before he ever became the head coach. And now he's been there 34 years. I've only been here 14. We're just getting started, Tyson. It's, but you look at the improvements and it's brick by brick. And it's never you watch programs, it's never a straight line because things happen you don't go from down here. We were, when I took this job, we were a WAC team and we moved into a Mountain West, which is just an unbelievable basketball league. I mean, you got 2 national champions, #1 picks, all the things that have happened in the Mountain. Great basketball league. And so it's never going to be a direct line, but we've just built it brick by brick the right way. And we've always been competitive. Even if we had a, quote, bad year, we were so competitive. That one year, we just lost every single close game years ago. So, but when I say that, well, what I mean is it's enabled us to get recruits at a higher level. We get a Tyson, we get and it just keeps moving up. And I think, and I know the guys we brought in along with the transfers and the high school kids, they're special guys and they come from great families. They come from, they're guys that are going to fit our program and our character. They are OKGs and they're great basketball players. So it's just a matter of us blending together and the leadership that you guys are going to provide and how quickly we can do that.
Well, Coach, speaking of OKGs, somebody asked if Boise State has trademarked that yet. You guys should.
Yeah, that was Pete's. We always had that at Gonzaga, but we didn't have a name for it. We just called them Zags. And when I got here, Pete was calling it OKGs. I'm like, that's true. That's what we were getting, but we called them Zags back then. And OKGs fits great, and it's true. And there are characteristics that permeate all our sports. There's an OKG type that comes to Boise State in all our programs. It's pretty neat.
James said, if Leon plays video games, this is why the esports program at Boise State is so good. Are you heading down there to help them out, when you got some free time, Coach?
No, I'm not. I got one game that I beat those guys in. It was the Madden football, and I would ground attack. I would just ground it out, run the clock, I'd play shorter quarters, and I'd pick the best running team, and I'd just grind them, and I'd win 10-7 because they'd only get one possession or so. So that's the only one I'm good at. And I'm not even really good at it. It's I've just played it a little bit.
Cole says, Coach, please don't leave, but any interest in the professional leagues? We be NBA coach Leon Rice coming up at some point?
Well, that's just a different ball game. And I mean, you just never know where things will take you, but I like the college game and I know the college game, and it's just almost like a different sport in the pros. I watch a lot of it and, especially once college ends, but I've never been approached and I never close the door on anything. Keep all your doors open as long as you can. You never know where it leads you. And so yeah, I'm still young. You never know what happens.
Jorge says, Mr. Rice doing a great job. Let's make our own history just like the Aztecs did. Was that pretty exciting seeing what San Diego State did and know that you were right there and you beat a team that obviously played for it all in the final Monday night?
Yeah, and that shows you that can be a call. I mean, we knew that when Loyola made their run, and I was telling everybody, hey, Loyola, and you guys thought I was Luke Holtz in it.
No, it was before they made the run. You kind of were, but
well, you knew, but the fans didn't know how good they were. We knew how good they were. But to see them go to the Final Four when we beat them by 34, So you're like, okay, we can. But then to see a team that you're always going toe-to-toe with go to the national championship and have a chance to win it all, that kind of thing. Yeah, it makes you understand that, yeah, well, if them, why not us? But we have to keep getting better. And, even
you beat Oregon the year they were #1 seed
yeah,
too. I mean, you've beaten some teams that have obviously gone pretty far in the tournament.
And a big key to that tournament, because, you look, they could have lost their very first game. And it was, you got to just get a right draw. You got to get a little luck, and then it gets you on a roll. And, we've seen that, some years at Gonzaga, we got great. That whole thing at Gonzaga got started because they drew Minnesota, and Minnesota had 4 players suspended. and it just got the momentum going. They beat Minnesota, then they got the momentum and beat Stanford, beat Florida, made the Elite Eight. And that's how runs happen. And, but you just got to, sometimes before you get a run or get that situation, you just got to keep knocking on that door. And, you look at St. Mary's, what they did, that's kind of what they've been doing. They just keep getting better, every year is not better than the last one, but every year they're good. Every year they're knocking on the door. Well, things happen when you keep doing that.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. You're gonna set the record probably for longest guest, but we appreciate your time. Any final words of wisdom for Tyson as a media member / show host? How do you think he did?
I think if Tyson just all he has to do is be himself, act like he's sitting in a private room, just the two of you, and you'll kill it because you're easy to talk to. We've always had great conversations, and he cares about people, and he'll dive deep into who they really are. So just trust your gut on that and just do that. And you'll bring out some great stories and great questions about people's lives.
Well, we appreciate your time, Coach. Tyson, any final words for your head coach here?
Just wanted to thank you a ton for being the first guest on my show and making it a little easier on me to, make sure we hit the hour mark. So and hope to see you. Good luck at the USA basketball, and I'll see you after that.
Yes, but we'll Idaho Central Credit Union. That's big time that they did this. I think it's gonna be a hit. We had some good ideas for you, Tyson. Get Kobe Carl on here. He'll come on. You can talk about the pro game and where he, all the things he's seen and done. That'd be a good one. A lot of Broncos would like that one. Two legendary Broncos.
I'm just looking forward to the Duryea Burns fireside chat. I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, you got to have both of them together.
Yes. That's on the list.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch, guys.
Appreciate you, Leon. Thank you, sir.
Good job, Tyson.
There he is, Leon Rice. How about that, Tyson? We appreciate Coach Rice coming on, and he delivered as expected, sir.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Made it a lot easier on me to, get some good stories out of him, and just really enjoy always hearing some new stories about Coach Rice. And he can definitely has a lot of stories that, over the course of his career. So always great to hear those.
Well, great job on the interview, man. I got myself out of there for 15 minutes and went and had a Diet Coke, and you guys had your chat, and it was great, man. You did an awesome job, man. That was great stuff. Now, before we get out of here, another staple that we want to make of this show, the 3-man weave. 3 quick thoughts on 3 topics, non-Boise State related. The NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup, and MLB are 3 topics. So quickly, what are your thoughts on the NBA Finals and your thoughts there?
So I originally came into this, series thinking that the Nuggets would win pretty easily, but I think the Heat might have found something in making Jokic more of a scorer than a passer. I think he only had 4 assists last night and over 40 points. And when he scores over 40 points, they don't win. They're 0-3. So just keep a lookout for that. I still think the Nuggets will win, but the series just got a little more interesting.
All right, the NHL finals are going on. Game 2 is going on right now as we speak. I know you've become a little more of a Seattle Kraken fan, being up there with the new team coming in. But what are your thoughts on what we're seeing with the NHL right now?
I knew if the Kraken beat the Stars in that Game 7, it was going to be a tough series with Vegas. So it looks like Vegas won 7-2 tonight. I just think Vegas is very, very good this year, and they'll be tough to beat. So that's
my pick. They're up 2-0, right? They're up 2-0. I'm actually going to Las Vegas this weekend with my wife, so I might have a chance to be in Las Vegas when they win the title. That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be very cool, yeah. But Vegas looked very good all year, and I think they'll just keep it rolling.
Now, we know your passion, though, your lifelong team is the Seattle Mariners, right?
Yeah.
And it hasn't exactly been the greatest year for the Mariners. The Cardinals, I know, are my team and lost again tonight on a walk-off. They're really struggling, but give us your thoughts, your take on the Mariners at this point.
Well, first, you guys lost to the Rangers, and the Rangers absolutely obliterated us in this last series. So credit to you guys for sticking with them until the last out. But Mariners just need to get their bat to the ball a little bit more. I know their pitching is very, very good, but hasn't been great. So I need to fix that a little bit. And once the bats get hot and they can string it all together, I think they have some really good pieces, and I think they can go on a little run before the All-Star break.
Jen says that was awesome that you were at the Jake Plummer Sports Camp. You had a busy weekend in Boise, man. You're at the golf tournament on Friday. I didn't have a chance to put this on the air, so we can put it on here now. Here's you teeing off on 17. You were the celebrity shot at our Bronco Nation News tournament, benefiting the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. What was it like taking some of these shots here? We're going to see Coach Rice take a shot in a second. But what was it like on hole 17? A little pressure, a little more pressure than a field goal, than a free throw, huh? What was it like, Tyson? A little more pressure than a free throw, probably?
Yeah, especially for something that you haven't done a lot of. Golf is more of a second sport for me, just to make sure to try to hit some good shots. But the free throw, I've done it, a lot of times in practice, but these golf shots under pressure, I have not done a lot of. So I was happy to hit about, 50% of the greens, so I'll take it. It was a good day for me.
Now, your teammate R.J. Keene's percentage was a little bit higher of getting the ball in the green. The reports are that he nicely said he's a little bit better golfer than you, but he kind of, from what I heard, told people that you're a little taller, it's a little harder, your back might have been a little stiff, and he was trying to give every excuse in the book that he could for you. But maybe that's the official competition we need to make next year. But it sounds like RJ may have come a little closer, done a little better job, man.
Yeah, he's definitely a better golfer than I am. I think he's better at the long game, hits better iron shots. I think I'm a better putter and chipper around the green. But I think if we were to combine RJ's long game and my short game, I think we would had a really good golfing person if you combined our abilities. So,
well, yeah. Dayton says RJ missed the green for our group at the tournament. He did. He really. David Gardner, Capital 11, big sponsor of ours, big supporter, says Tyson's shoe game was on point at the golf tournament.
Thank you. I was hoping someone would comment on those. They're very, very comfortable golf shoes, actually. So they're very, very good when it's not super wet out because they don't have the spikes. But they've held up for me pretty well this last summer.
Well, if all goes well, and it was a great debut episode, Tyson, our next guest, episode 2, it is 2 Tuesdays, so it's 2 weeks from tomorrow, and that would put us on what, June 20th, right? June 20th, our guest is scheduled to be Boise State Athletic Director Jeremiah Dickey for episode 2. I'm really looking forward to that, and I know everybody, Tyson, will ask, anytime I get a chance to talk to him, well, what's the update on the scoreboard? What's the update on the North End Zone project? What's the update on this? I know we're really looking forward to finding out about his athletic career and other, growing up, in El Paso, Texas, and other things. I think we're going to hopefully have an interview like never before with Jeremiah Dickey. Are you excited for 2 weeks from tomorrow?
I am very excited. I've talked to Jeremiah, quite a few times throughout my time at BSU, and he's just such a great guy. And I can't wait to, ask him some questions, get to know him more on a personal level, and just kind of understand, how he grew up and why he is the way he is.
Well, again, Idaho Central Credit Union is making this all possible. More than 550,000 Idahoans have made the switch to ICCU. You can get more information at ICCU.com. They're big supporters of Bronco Nation News and have the deal with Tyson. So we're happy to make this work. Tyson, take a deep breath, man. You did it. Episode 1 is in the books. How do you think it went, man?
I think I did a pretty good job. Thank you all in the comments for the compliments and just making sure that keep the confidence in me. I'm really excited to keep building this thing, and I think it'll be a great show throughout the whole rest of the year. I think the in-season ones are going to be very cool to give some of my insight of, the basketball world and how it's going for us. So I'm very excited for that.
Well, again, hopefully less and less of me as we move forward here. But I thought we didn't even really have that plan, but you were going so good. I said, you and Leon, just go for it, man. You guys did great. We appreciate Coach Rice for giving us, almost an hour of his time. That was awesome stuff. We appreciate Coach Rice. Again, we'll have Jeremiah Dickey and Marlene Trump the next 2 episodes. We're looking forward to that. Make sure you subscribe to Bronco Nation News on YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook or elsewhere, just click that subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. And again, we're excited about the partnership moving forward here. Big news, by the way. I can't let too much out of the bag tonight, Tyson, but let's just say Bronco Nation News is adding to our team here moving forward. And I'm very excited about an addition that you don't even know about yet here in the next month or so as we expand the Bronco Nation News team. And we're doing that thanks to folks like ICCU that are helping make this possible with the Tyson Degenhart Show. So, Tyson, awesome job, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks to everybody. We got good teaser, Tyson. Awesome first show. Tyson, looking forward to more. Jacob, by the way, is excited to see RJ out there this season. I know we all are. Been waiting for his talent on the hardwood. So a lot of people giving you positive comments on the first show. Well done, sir. Again, you did the outline. We talked, a couple of times last night, today. You put your homework in. It paid off, man. Hats off to you. Seriously, nice first episode. We're excited for episodes to come. And again, iccu.com. Check it out. Tyson, congratulations, man. Nice first episode. We'll do it again in 2 weeks.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you for all your help, BJ. Thank you for all tuning in. Hope to make another great one in 2 weeks. So we'll talk to you then.
There it is. Jeremiah Dickey coming up in 2 weeks, the Boise State Athletic Director. We're making history. The first Boise State athlete with his own show, thanks to Idaho Central Credit Union. And it was a great debut episode, over an hour and 15 minutes. So hope you guys enjoyed it. We appreciate you for checking us out. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Subscribe on the YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/BroncoNationNews. And again, June 20th, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be back with our second episode and our special guest, Jeremiah Dickey. Jacob, one final comment. BJ, this is the best show. Hope your channel keeps growing. You never leave Boise. You give us the best inside information. This is not about me. This is about Tyson. Let's still. I appreciate the kind words. Let's keep it on Tyson. But thank you for saying that, Jacob. Great show. Appreciate all you guys for the comments. Well, Jay Tuss and I will be on 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you want to check us out, Bronco Nation News Live. We'll recap the golf tournament and some other happenings in Boise State athletics. Have a great rest of your night. I'll talk to you with Jay Tuss tomorrow at 9 a.m. And Tyson and I will talk to you June 20th with Jeremiah Dickey. Have a great rest of your night. This has been the Tyson Degenhart Show, presented by Idaho Central Credit Union at Bronco Nation News, the social media channels of Bronco Nation News.